Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you today about when life doesn't go as planned. Trust God anyway. We've all had moments where we thought we had everything figured out. You had a dream, a timeline, a plan for how it should unfold. But then something unexpected happened. The job didn't come through. The relationship ended. The opportunity you were counting on suddenly closed. And you find yourself asking, God, where are you in this? Why didn't this work out? But I want to remind you today, God's plan is still unfolding even when yours isn't. Just because things didn't go the way you thought doesn't mean they aren't going the way God wants. Sometimes God will close a door because He's protecting you from something that could have delayed your destiny. Sometimes what feels like rejection is actually God's redirection. So don't be discouraged when life takes a detour. God's detours still lead to destiny. When life doesn't go as planned, the first instinct most people have is to assume something went wrong, that God didn't hear their prayer, or maybe they did something wrong. But that's not always the case. You see, with God, even the things that seem delayed, denied, or detoured are actually a part of His divine timeline. What we call delay. Heaven calls development what we think God sees as direction. There are moments in your life when you'll feel like God is taking too long. You prayed, you believed, you stayed faithful, but nothing seems to be happening. You keep checking the door, waiting for it to open, and it stays shut. It's easy to think that maybe the blessing isn't coming. But I want to remind you, our God's delays are not God's denials. When God makes a promise, He never goes back on it. He may not fulfill it on your schedule, but He always fulfills it according to His purpose. God lives outside of time. He's not bound by your clock. You may have a deadline in mind, but God has a destiny in store. And when destiny is unfolding, delay is never destruction, it's preparation. Think about a seed planted in the ground. Once it's buried, it looks like nothing is happening. The soil covers it, the sunlight can't reach it directly, and from the outside it looks dead. But beneath the surface, something powerful is taking place. That seed is breaking open, roots are growing downward, and strength is forming in silence. If the seed could speak, it might say, "This doesn't feel like progress. I'm surrounded by darkness. I'm buried." But what it doesn't realize is that it's not buried, it's planted. That's what happens when God delays something in your life. It may look like you're being buried, but you're being planted for greater growth. The soil represents obscurity, preparation, and development. God is maturing you, strengthening you, and getting you ready for something that's beyond what you could handle before. Maybe you prayed for a promotion that didn't come through. You were the most qualified, the most experienced, but someone else got the job. That's not a denial. That's a delay. God knows what's ahead. Maybe that position would have limited you. Maybe the place He's taking you requires you to stay hidden a little longer until the right door opens. Sometimes God will hide you before He honors you. He'll let you grow in private so you can shine in public. If God gave you everything you asked for right away, you wouldn't need faith. You wouldn't need patience. You wouldn't learn how to trust His timing. But it's in the waiting that faith grows strong. The delays are the classrooms of trust. Every time you wait with hope instead of frustration, you're passing the test. Every time you say, "God, I still believe," when nothing changes, that's faith maturing. There are people right now living in their promise who once cried in their delay. They thought it was over. They thought God had forgotten them. But while they were waiting, God was working. He was setting things in motion, aligning people, opportunities, and resources for the perfect moment of release. You might be in that waiting room right now. You've been praying for healing, for breakthrough, for restoration, and it hasn't happened yet. But I want to encourage you. Just because you don't see movement doesn't mean there's no progress. God is working behind the scenes in ways you can't see. Sometimes the longer the delay, the greater the development. David was anointed as king, but it took years before he sat on the throne. He went through hardship, battles, and rejection, but every experience shaped his heart and prepared him for leadership. If David had become king immediately, he wouldn't have had the maturity to handle it. The process made him the person his destiny required. God does the same with you. The delay isn't there to break you. It's there to build you. It's in those quiet, unseen seasons that character is formed. Your faith grows deeper, and your roots grow stronger, and your understanding of God's faithfulness expands. The moment you feel forgotten is often the moment you're being formed. Remember this, delay does not mean defeat. God is not punishing you, He's preparing you. Sometimes, what you think is a no is really God's not yet. You're praying for something small while He's preparing something greater. You're asking for a door, but He's building a palace. That's why He can't let you settle for less than His best. Maybe you had a dream that fell apart. You thought it was over, but it's not. The dream didn't die. It's just in development. God still intends to bring it to pass, but He's refining it first. The delay allows God to mature your dream and align it with His purpose. When you trust God in the waiting, you invite His power into your process. You show Him that your faith isn't dependent on your circumstances. Anybody can praise God when everything is happening on time, but real faith praises Him when nothing makes sense. Real faith says, God, I don't understand, but I'll keep believing. I don't see it yet, but I know you're working. The truth is, what looks like a delay is often divine timing in disguise. God is never late. He's always right on schedule. He's not trying to frustrate you. He's trying to fulfill you. Every delay in your life carries destiny inside it. Every pause has purpose. So don't give up while you're waiting. Don't assume the story is over because your plan didn't unfold as expected. God's script is still being written. You may be in the middle of a sentence right now, but the next chapter could be your breakthrough. I know it's not easy to wait when your heart is eager for change. But remember, God didn't bring you this far to leave you empty-handed. The delay is evidence that He's preparing you for something worth waiting for. He's polishing your faith, refining your strength, and shaping your character. Keep trusting even when you can't trace Him. Keep walking even when you can't see the way. Because one day, when the timing is right, everything will fall into place, and you'll say, now I understand why I had to wait. And when that moment comes, you'll realize that the delay wasn't wasted. It was necessary. It was the season that taught you how to depend on God, how to listen to His voice, and how to appreciate His timing. You'll look back and thank Him for every door that didn't open, every prayer that wasn't answered your way, every delay that felt like disappointment. Because those were the moments He was aligning you with destiny. So, don't lose heart. Don't lose faith. The blessing that seems delayed is not denied. It's just being refined for the perfect time. trust the process. Trust the delay. Because in God's timing, everything that's been delayed will be delivered. And when it comes, it'll be more beautiful, more powerful, and more fulfilling than you ever imagined. Sometimes, when life shifts unexpectedly, when the doors you counted on suddenly close, it's easy to believe you've missed your chance. You think, maybe I took the wrong turn, or maybe this is the end of my story. But what if the very thing you're calling a disappointment is actually a divine appointment in disguise? What if the detour you didn't plan is the path God intended all along? We all love the feeling of having a plan. We like knowing what's next, where we're headed, who we're walking with, and how everything fits together. But God often works outside our plans to reveal His purpose. Sometimes He'll rearrange your route to position you for a miracle you didn't even know you needed. Think about Joseph. He had a dream that one day he would rise to a place of leadership and influence. But before he ever reached the palace, he went through betrayal, slavery, and prison. If Joseph judged his future by what was happening in the middle of his story, he would have assumed his dream was over. He could have said, God, you showed me one thing, but I'm living something completely different. Yet through every disappointment, God was still directing his steps. What Joseph didn't realize was that every setback was positioning him closer to his destiny. His brothers thought they were getting rid of him, but they were really sending him to the exact place God needed him to be. The pit was painful, but it was part of the plan. The prison felt unfair, but it became the pathway to the palace. That's what God does. He turns what looks like a step backward into a setup for a comeback. He uses disappointment to bring divine redirection. The door that slammed shut wasn't meant to stop you. It was meant to steer you. Maybe you had a relationship that didn't work out, and you felt heartbroken. You thought that person was the one, and when it ended, you felt like your whole future fell apart. But what if that was God's way of protecting you from something that would have distracted or delayed you? Sometimes God will remove people, places, or positions not to hurt you, but to prepare you. He'll shift the scenery of your life to make sure your story lines up with His purpose. Every closed door is not rejection. Many are redirection. That job you didn't get, that business that failed, that opportunity that slipped away, they might have been the very things keeping you from your next level. God saw what you couldn't. He knows how to use what disappoints you to position you for what will develop you. We tend to think, if this plan doesn't work, my life is off track. But in reality, the plan may have changed, yet the purpose remains the same. You can't miss what God has already marked for you. The path may shift, but the promise is secure. There's a story in the Bible about the Israelites leaving Egypt. They thought the journey to the promised land would be straightforward, but God led them a longer route through the wilderness. Why? Because He knew they weren't ready for the battles they'd face if they took the shorter road. He used the detour to prepare their hearts for the destiny ahead. In your life too, God sometimes leads you through the long way, not because He's punishing you, but because He's protecting you. You may not understand why certain things didn't happen quickly, but God's timing is always strategic. The delay and disappointment are shaping your character, building your endurance, and preparing your spirit for what's next. Some of the greatest blessings come disguised as closed doors. That rejection letter might be the reason you find the right opportunity. That painful ending might be the reason you discover your purpose. The friend who walked away may make room for people who truly value your vision. God will never waste your disappointment. What feels like the end of something is often the beginning of something new. He will take what others meant for harm and use it for good. Maybe you feel like you're stuck in a season of confusion. Nothing is going as you planned. You've prayed, believed, and stayed faithful, yet things seem to be falling apart instead of coming together. Don't lose hope. Just because you can't see it yet doesn't mean God isn't moving. He's rearranging things behind the scenes, opening doors you can't see, orchestrating connections you don't know about, and setting you up for something greater than you imagined. When Joseph finally stood before Pharaoh and became second in command over all Egypt, he could look back and see that every painful chapter had purpose. The betrayal, the prison, the waiting, all of it was necessary. And when he faced his brothers again, the same ones who had hurt him, he said, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." That's what you'll be able to say one day. The disappointment that felt like it was going to break you will be the very thing that blessed you. The people who walked away will become proof that God walked in. The plans that fell apart will make sense when you see what God was putting together instead. So, the next time life takes an unexpected turn, don't panic, praise. Don't question God's plan. Trust it. Remind yourself that what feels like rejection is often redirection. You didn't lose your future. You just lost what wasn't supposed to go with you into it. Keep your heart open and your faith strong. When one door closes, it doesn't mean God has said no. It means He's saying, "I've got something better." What's ahead will make you forget the pain of what's behind. Every disappointment is a seed of divine setup. Every heartbreak is a doorway to healing. Every delay is an opportunity for God to display His faithfulness. So, when life doesn't go as planned, don't get discouraged. Trust that God's plan is still unfolding. The detour is not destruction, it's direction. The delay is not denial, it's development. The disappointment is not defeat, it's destiny in disguise. Keep believing, keep moving, keep trusting, because the same God who turned Joseph's prison into a palace is working on your story too. And one day, you'll look back and realize that what once hurt you most helped you become who you were always meant to be. When life takes an unexpected turn, faith is what holds you steady. Faith is trusting God when you don't have all the answers. It's believing that He's still in control when everything around you looks out of control. Anyone can trust God when life is smooth, but real faith is proven when the road becomes uncertain, when the answers don't come quickly, and when nothing seems to make sense. You see, faith isn't about having the full picture. It's about trusting the one who does. If God showed you every detail of your journey, you wouldn't need faith. If you knew how everything would work out, you'd depend on your understanding instead of His wisdom. But faith says, "God, I don't need to know the details. I just need to know you're with me." Abraham was told to leave his homeland and go to a place God would show him. God didn't give him a map or a timeline. He didn't say, "Here's where you'll end up, and here's how long it will take." He just said, "Go." And Abraham obeyed. That's faith, moving forward without the full details, trusting that each step of obedience will bring you closer to God's promise. Sometimes we pray, "God, show me the whole plan." But God says, If I showed you everything, you wouldn't need me. Faith keeps you connected to Him. It keeps you humble, dependent, and teachable. It's in the knot, knowing that you learn to rely on His presence instead of your plan. You may be facing a season where everything seems uncertain. Your job situation, your health, your relationships. You don't see how it's all going to work out. But that's where faith rises. It doesn't deny the reality of the situation. It simply chooses to trust a greater reality, that God is still on the throne, that His word still stands, and that His promises never fail. Faith is not a feeling, it's a decision. You may not feel strong, but you can choose to believe. You may not see progress, but you can trust that God is working. Every time you choose faith over fear, you move closer to what God has prepared for you. Sometimes, God will test your faith by allowing things to seem uncertain, not to punish you, but to strengthen you. He wants you to grow from, I believe when I see it, to, I believe even when I don't. That's the kind of faith that moves mountains, the kind that attracts divine favor, the kind that brings peace in chaos. When the disciples were on the boat and the storm began to rage, Jesus was asleep. They panicked, thinking He didn't care. But Jesus woke up and said, "Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith?" He was teaching them that even when He seems silent, He's still in control. The storm wasn't there to sink them. It was there to strengthen them. Maybe you're in a storm right now and you can't see how you'll make it through. The winds are strong, the waves are high, and you're wondering, God, where are you? He's right there in the boat with you. He may be quiet, but He's not absent. He's allowing the storm to test your faith, because after every test comes a testimony. Faith is not built in comfort. It's built in challenge. It grows stronger when you keep believing, even when nothing changes. Every time you trust God in uncertainty, your faith muscles grow. Every time you refuse to quit, heaven takes notice. You might not see how your situation will turn around, but that's what faith is for. It bridges the gap between where you are and where God promised you'd be. Faith says, even if it doesn't happen the way I thought, I'll keep trusting. Even if it takes longer than I expected, I'll keep believing. Even if I don't see it yet, I know it's on the way. A God doesn't require perfect faith. He just asks for persistent faith. Even if your faith feels small, keep using it. Jesus said faith the size of a mustard seed can move mountains. It's not the size of your faith that matters. It's the size of your God. Sometimes we want to see the miracle before we believe, but faith says, I'll believe first. The miracle follows the faith. The peace comes after the trust. The breakthrough comes after the obedience. You don't have to have everything figured out to trust God. You just have to take the next step. That's how faith works, one step at a time. You may not know how long the journey will take, but you can be certain of who's walking beside you. When life doesn't go as planned, faith is what keeps you steady. It's what reminds you that God's ways are higher, His thoughts are greater, and His timing is perfect. You may not see the full picture now, but one day you'll look back and realize that every uncertain moment was preparing you for something beautiful. So today, instead of asking, why isn't it happening yet? Ask, God, what are you teaching me in this season? Because the greatest lessons of faith are learned not in clarity, but in trust. Hold your faith tightly when life feels unpredictable. Keep believing even when you don't see the evidence, because faith doesn't make life easy. It makes it possible. And when the promise finally unfolds, you'll see that every unanswered question, every season of waiting, every step of faith, it all led you to exactly where God wanted you to be. When life doesn't go as planned, that's not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new chapter God is writing. The moments that confuse you are often the moments God uses to shape you. The seasons that stretch you are the seasons that strengthen you. Every delay, every disappointment, every detour carries divine purpose. You may not understand everything right now, but trust that nothing is wasted. God knows how to take what was meant for harm and turn it into good. He knows how to restore what was lost, heal what was broken, and redeem what was painful. Even when you can't trace His hand, you can trust His heart. Remember, faith doesn't mean life will always go according to your plan. It means you believe God's plan is better. It means that even when things don't make sense, you keep walking, believing that His ways are higher and His timing is perfect. Don't let confusion rob you of your confidence. Don't let delay steal your joy. Every unanswered prayer, every closed door, every twist in your journey is preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. Keep trusting when you don't see progress. Keep believing when you don't understand the path. Because one day, you'll look back and realize that every detour led you directly to your destiny. God hasn't forgotten you. He's working behind the scenes, arranging everything according to His purpose. So hold on to hope, stay faithful in the waiting, and declare with confidence, even when life doesn't go as planned, I will trust God anyway. Yes.